Sure. Okay. Young-Soo, thank you. I was going to say that I'm honored to be here, but I'm not. I'm overwhelmed. All these Buddhas, and to be giving a Dharma talk is quite an honor. Thank you very, very much. I'm going to talk slowly, unless I get excited, which I do when I work. So Simon and my wife Nicole are here to tell me to slow down. If I'm speaking too quickly for you, please tell me to slow down. Okay, you'll listen, a southern accent will come into me. I lived in Texas for many years, and the southerners talk slower. So if I talk with a southern accent, I talk slower, so I will do my best to stay in my southern accent, although it's not natural to me. I have promised Mr. Kim that I will not swear or be inappropriate, which is not my nature. I swear a lot, and I am inappropriate a lot, so I will do my best not to do that today as well. I'm going to take some notes for just a few minutes. I took some notes because I want to make sure I cover some things. I've got about 2 hours to change how you perceive the world and how the world perceives you. I have a couple of hours to show you a new technology that when I saw it 25 years ago, it altered how I live my life. And as I've studied this technology and I've looked around, I've looked at philosophies or lifestyles which are compatible or conducive with this, and Buddhism comes the closest that I've found. My oldest son, he's not really my son, is a Buddhist monk in Maui, Hawaii, and every day he prays to alleviate human suffering. For 40 years, I have been in the field with the express intention of alleviating human suffering. The first chiropractor said, I will never consider it beneath my dignity to do anything to alleviate human suffering. I did chiropractic and kinesiology for years, and that was the intent, was to alleviate people's suffering. I saw the technology that I'm going to show you today, which is a very Western technology. Okay? If I'm a typical Westerner, I do not meditate well. Okay? I very rarely sit down with the intention of meditating. And last week I sat for hours and meditated. Simon invited us over here. My wife and I came over here for one purpose, and that was to attend the Zen retreat with Sewell last week. And the purpose is to see if you can have an enlightenment breakthrough in less than 7 or 8 days. It happened to both my wife and I, and when it happened to me, it was a very familiar place for me. It's where I spend my time, and if I can, I take people there with me through this technology. But when Simon and I first talked, one of the monks was there, and Simon did this seminar 2 years ago, and he said, I think the reason I finished so quickly was because the work I've done with you in self-actualization. We were talking to a monk, and Simon was explaining my work. The monk said to me, is your work Zen? And I said, I don't know. After this week, I will know. I had never experienced any sort of Zen meditation or Zen experiences. Right? So I couldn't say yes or no whether it was Zen or not. When I got the experience, I realized that what I've been doing for years is Zen. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how we Westerners have done it. Like I said, it's action-oriented, because up until last week, I didn't know that I could meditate. I tried. I have several mantras, and I can sit for 20 minutes if I watch the clock, right? Because it's at 15, I get a little fidgety. At 17, it's definitely time to go. But there have been times when I've been able to sit and make myself meditate. On the second day in the retreat, Subal, the master who taught the retreat, said, how you know what I'm asking you to do is working is you have sat for hours in meditation. And I thought, yeah, he's right. The first night we sat and meditated almost 2.5 hours, and I can't tell you what I did is meditation. When we finished the retreat, I said, okay, we've accomplished something, but I don't know how I accomplished it. I really don't. He said, they sit and they say, sit, don't do anything, answer the question, find the answer to the question, and that's pretty much, oh, trust me, which was easy to do. When I met Subul, there was no reason not to trust him. I trust everybody that I meet. If they fall out of trust with me, I try to find why in me have they fallen out of trust. Then I see, have they fallen out of trust, or have they just done something that I don't like? One of the things I want to see is how frequently we can go to the only relative time, which is right now. Okay? The more time you can spend in your life in present time consciousness, the more time you will spend in magnificence. There are basically 3 times. There's past, which includes even the prayer that we did, and that time is illusional. That time is based on thinking and thought and has nothing to do with reality. That time frame, even a few minutes ago, might as well have dinosaurs in it. Okay? Because it doesn't exist anymore. Anything in the future isn't going to turn out as you think it will. So one of the things I need to show you is how to spend as much time in present time consciousness as you can. I'm going to interact a little bit while I do this, and I'm going to ask some questions. Are you the same or different as when you came in here this evening, this afternoon? Yes, are you the same or different?
Usually I try to be focused on the current, present time.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy, but I try to practice to see that the present, the most important is right now.
Okay.
I'm trying to be exactly, but I'm not perfect. I cannot say.
It's hard to do, isn't it? Okay, now my question was, and I'm going to repeat it, are you the same or different as when you came in here?
Different.
How are you different?
I can say because test the test, now I feel different.
Okay, what do you notice? What do you feel that's different?
The experience we had between the time we came here and now, it makes a difference.
I didn't completely hear you.
The experience we had between the time we came in and now makes a difference.
That's a true statement. We change every minute. My question is, can you notice what's different about you from when we came in until now?
If I can feel, this is the question, if I can feel it,
Yes. Yes. Do you notice what's different about you?
no, because I'm reborn every second, so, or not every second, but almost. Okay, I think it's always, when I think, it's always I. So I is not different, but I know I'm different because I understand the difference. That's all.
Okay, but see, here's my intention in this exercise. My intention is the question is, can I bring you here right now? Right? Can I bring you right to this moment? And she's giving me what she thinks. Right? She's giving me theory, how are you different right now?
How can you answer with the thinking? How can you answer with the thinking? How can you answer with the work? And if you use work with representation and representation is thinking. The lesson skip work.
Not always. How are you different right now? Now, one of the things I'm going to ask you is to ask you to watch people as I ask them questions. My curiosity is everything she has told me is true. Right? And when I said not necessarily, I watched her whole system change. Right? What I'm watching for is to see if a person moves towards more curiosity or less curiosity, whether they're moving towards more vitality or less vitality. Okay, I need to give you the theory behind this. Do you all have, am I speaking slowly enough? I'm being understood? Okay. Can I get a chart? These were developed by a man that taught me for many years. Okay? This world above, there's a line in the middle. Okay? The line is paradox, confusion, curiosity. Okay? The theory is that we are biological computers, and we run on two distinct operating systems. How many people here have children? You don't count, you got 6. Okay? Okay, everybody in this room came on to planet Earth running on a very pristine, very open operating system. Okay, I know that because I've checked all 6 of our children, and they had no original sin, and they were out there. They were unconsciously, unconditionally enlightened. They were unconsciously, unconditionally self-actualized. When I ask my 3-year-old on the phone, what are you doing? I travel a lot. I'll say to my 3-year-old, what are you doing? And invariably they say, talking to you. Because they're so in present time consciousness. The intention of today is to see if I can show you technology that will assist you doing that, keeping yourself in present time consciousness, which I think assisted my wife and I in the Zen retreat. The Master didn't tell us what to do, essentially, right? He said, trust me and find the answer. He said, if you find yourself doing things that you know to do, stop doing those things and find the answer. Right? I watched the monks have a very difficult time because they would start to look for the answer, but then they would start doing things that they knew to do in meditation. I didn't know what to do, so I kept looking for the answer, and it came relatively easily for me. I mean, after a bunch of crying and shaking and stuff like that. Okay, it wasn't that easy. But because I didn't know what to do, it made it easier for me. From this, I don't know how life works. Life is a continual adventure for me. I don't understand life. It doesn't make any sense to me. It hasn't for the last 20 years, and I hope it never will. But when you come onto the planet, okay, if I use the word chakra, are we all okay with that word? Yeah? Chakras are energy centers. They're Eastern. When I do my kinesiology, I can test for the chakras to see whether they're open or closed. Right? I don't know whether they exist or not because I've never seen one. Right? But I still work with them. Okay? We have 7 major chakras, starting at the base and ending up over the top of our head. When we come onto the planet, all of those chakras are open. In every baby, their chakras are completely open. Right? We come onto the planet, we are in bliss and inspiration. If we had a newborn here and everybody held the newborn, they would go to a different state of awareness. Yeah, she's nodding her head. Yeah, yeah. When our children were born, we had older children, and we would take them to baseball games, and the baby would be passed around, and I would watch, particularly women, change state completely. Become more compassionate, become more curious, more trusting, just by holding the system that's there. Okay? Bliss and inspiration. This chakra and this chakra dim when we start to look at the fact that we've come back for this incarnation in a physical body. And we start to realize the limitations of that physical body. Right? Did your daughter ever hit herself with a rattle when she was a kid? Yeah. Okay. I watched my kids do. I thought it was funny. I don't think but my kids would, and then ow, because they didn't know who hit them or why. but they were so unused to the body, they could hit the body, right? So as that soft spot closes, as the anterior fontanelle closes, as we start to realize our physical limitations, the first two chakras start to dim. Okay? Now all of this has to happen for us to exist on planet Earth in its current state of absolute love and peace on the... Oh no, that's a different planet. I'm sorry. There are times when I call planet Earth planet mediocrity. Thank you. Let me try this. I'll have a drink of water. It's crystal. Okay. The throat chakra, which the words are enthusiasm, cognitive persuasion, that chakra dims when we're about 2 years old, and we hear a new word, a word we've never heard before. It's a two-word letter, it's a two-letter word, and the two letters are N and O. Up until then, we've never heard the word no in relationship to ourselves. When we ask for something when we're babies, we do whatever we can to get what we need. We get fed, we get our diaper changed, we get whatever we need without language. When we start to speak, we can hear no for the first time ever. We hear no, they say, in American tradition, that we hear no 150,000 times, directly related to us, from the time we are 2 till the time we are 14, to where we become masters at saying no to ourselves. Okay? This chakra, the heart chakra, dims when we have to learn that love is a conditional phenomena. Right? Don't talk to that man, he's got shabby clothes on. Oh, mom will love you if you clean up your room. Right? Love, which before that we love everybody for no particular reason, right, becomes conditional. And it's what Abraham Maslow calls an enculturation, something that we've learned that is less than efficient. That's where our happiness starts to be compromised. The responsibility for our happiness we don't look out for anymore so much. Our compassion is diminished at this between 3 and 5 years old. When we're 5 to 7 years old, we look and the power chakra, the team building chakra, the teamwork chakra dims because we look at the family that we came in with. Now, my parents stayed together for the children, which I honor. But they weren't happy together. They didn't look out for one another. Right? When my wife and I, when we would not get along in our 25 years, about almost 25 years, when we could not get along, I would go on the road. I would make a road trip and I would go away because I couldn't see how to get along with her, and I didn't want our children to learn how to not get along. They're going to learn that from other people. Right? I wanted to see, wait a minute, Dad's going to go away just to find his own happiness. Okay? And that's when the third chakra dims, when you look and at the team and you see that there's not really efficient teams out there, except those of you who have been raised in completely functional families. Passion, safety, desire, the second chakra dims when you hit your teenage years and all the new hormones kick into place. Right? How do I address this? Just keep going. You get all of those new sensations, all of those new desires, and then the world tells you that you're not allowed to experience them. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. And it's a normal, natural phenomena of the human species to enjoy that. Good so far? Okay. The trust. Okay, the trust is here. Right? The trust is in your roots, and we fall out of trust because we don't know what to trust. Nicole and I sat with a mom and dad the other night at dinner. Right? We know, we have never met the Korean mom and dad, but we know their son because their son goes to school in Switzerland with our children. Their son has been to our house. I've told all of the kids at this school, if there are holidays so short that they can't get home, that they can come to our house. My last birthday at my house, there were 12 children in my house, and it was a very good time. But we met these parents, and when their son turned 12 years old, they sent him to Switzerland to go to school. Because they said, what we don't want is we don't want him to be raised like we were. We don't want him to be raised here, and there's nothing wrong with it, but what they're doing is they're doing what they know to do, but they're reacting. They're sending him someplace and breaking up their family unit because they know what they don't want. They don't know what they do want. We have 6 children. For the last 20 years, we have lived between Switzerland, Texas, and Hawaii. We have traveled with our children every place that we want to. People have told us that our lifestyle is impossible, that you can't travel with 6 children, so we homeschooled them. She homeschooled them. I can't take much credit there. But we've lived an impossible life. The self-actualization is a lifestyle, as is Buddhism. Buddhism, I've read many accounts that said Buddhism isn't really a religion, it's a lifestyle that people live. And that's what's attracted to me. When I speak to my son, the Lama, there's no dogma. He doesn't say, oh, you have to do this, or you've done this and you don't do that. And that's where I see the two technologies living together, that it's a lifestyle, and through my lifestyle, through what I'm showing you here, it can go to a more magnificent lifestyle, is what I've seen classically with people. Okay, we get down to trust, and we don't know really how to trust. Right? We don't know what to trust. Right? I became a doctor because what it assured me was that I could be a student for many years. And in being a student, I didn't know what I was, but I knew that I wasn't yet a person, right? I could be a student and keep being a student for, it took me a long time, longer than most. I'm not that smart, okay? But then you step out into the real world. This is where you turn this upside down, okay? And we step into a learned world, a world that takes a tremendous amount of our intelligence to learn. We have to use almost all of our intelligence to learn everything here, and it's less than efficient. This is what I call the world of the mind. Okay, it's a little bit different when I hear the Buddhists talk about the mind. They talk about developing the mind. My interpretation is a little different. I talk about this world that is learned, that is conditioned, that is less than efficient, that is reptilian by nature. It's a basic world that we revert to, we default to when we get under stress, and the last vestige of this mind is fear. Whether the fear is real or imagined, it will cause you to default into this gray area. Fear is the shadow of trust. See what I'm saying? We're going to work out from here. Fear is the shadow of trust. We're working out from the center here. Right? When Subul asked us to trust him, I could immediately go there because I have no reason to mistrust him. We sat with a scholar, and the scholar said, I don't think I can trust this man. I don't know if he is who he says he is. Right? He has his reasons for mistrust. I have no reason not to trust all of y'all. I have no reason not to trust anybody. Then I have to see if you've done something, if you've fallen out of trust, or if you've just done something I don't like. That's, you know what I mean? That's not trusting. Just a quick example. One of my clients, I was sitting with him at my house in Houston, and his cell phone rang, and he looked at his cell phone, and he got very, very dark, very mad. And then he did something that surprised me. He answered his cell phone. If my cell phone makes me mad, I don't answer my cell phone. It's simple. If I see a number and it's somebody I don't want to talk to, I pretend I'm not there. But he answered the cell phone, and the more he was on the cell phone, the madder he got. Right? When he got off the cell phone, he said, it happens every time. And I said, wow, it must be soothing having somebody that you can trust that much in your life. He said, that was my ex-wife. I can't trust her. And I said, but I thought you said every time you call, this happens to you. Yes, it does. I said, that's almost the definition of trust. If you know exactly what somebody's going to do and they consistently do it, then you can trust them. Right? I said, you're the idiot for answering the cell phone. He looked, he knew he was going to be mad, but he went ahead and answered the cell phone. It's not that he can't trust her, it's that she makes him mad. Slow down. I'll have another drink of water. If I don't get to this, thanks everybody for coming here today. Thank you very much for allowing me to be here, and thanks for at least not leaving so far. Okay. Babies have no fear. When babies come onto planet, they have two what we call startle reflexes. If you hold a baby, whatever age, and you do that, they'll be startled. If you hold a baby and you speak loudly, they'll do that. They don't have any other fears. My 4-day-old did not worry whether we made the mortgage payment or not. Right? They did not worry about the electricity bills. They did not worry whether the internet was working. They have to learn all of these fears. Every fear that you experience in your life, you have learned. If I can show you today how some techniques to go to present time consciousness, those fears will dissipate because they're not real. Right? Up until last week, there was a certain amount of fear for us around death. Right? We went to a retreat, we experienced ourselves, and there's no real reason to fear death. Didn't you get a sense of that? Yeah, that's right. So the big ultimate oogie boogie, holy cow fear has been dissipated. All the rest of the fears are man-made. Who here is afraid of the North Koreans? Oogie boogie. It's all made up. I am sure if you sat with a North Korean, you would get along with them extremely well. We are taught to be afraid of so many people and so many things, and if we take time and stop and have a conversation in present time consciousness, there's no reason to be afraid of them, as far as I've found so far. And it's been almost 9 years. If you spend enough time in fear, which is a manufactured state, but whether it's real or not, the body doesn't care. If you spend enough time in fear, you will get tired. Okay? It will cause you to be tired. Tiredness is the shadow of passion. If you're not getting enough passion in your life, you're going to get tired. What we look at with people is what is it that when you're doing it, you are alive? What is it that when you are doing it, your life is consumed? You're using every ounce of you. This is where we're on a similar pursuit as Buddhism. We're looking to see, can we discipline the mind, right? But the Western approach is to find that which, when you're doing it, you are out of your mind. My wife talks about coming home from lunch when she was a girl in public school. And her mother is an artist. She's an artist by essence. It's what she does. She paints. And she and her sister would get home for lunch, and their mother would be in the studio, and when they got there, her mother wouldn't know who they were. She was so immersed in her game. She was so out in present time consciousness, so in the absolute, that she had no recollection as to who they were. And Nicole said it always took her time to collect herself. And she said it was always the most fun lunch times because they never knew what to expect. It was always fun. So the Western theory is there's something that when you're doing it, it consumes you and you disappear. Last night when you had the discussion with Buam, you said, but then I cease to exist. Right? Then you go to the paradox. In between these two worlds, there are three words: paradox, confusion, and curiosity. If you can find a way to keep yourself curious, you can make the transition between these two worlds, but it will be confusing. Is life confusing to you? Yeah? Yeah, for me too. It's very confusing. Then I come to Seoul, Korea, and it looks very confusing. I don't know how so many people can be going so many different places in so many different venues at the same time. All with some. My wife, we were on the subway yesterday, and I got my cell phone out, and she said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I just want to fit in." And I wasn't doing anything. I was just pretending to be on my cell phone because everybody else was on theirs. I felt out of place. I don't understand life, but I've disciplined myself to find it fascinating. I attempt not to judge it when I find myself going into judgment. My sister calls it connecting the dots. Right? Oh, this means that, therefore this means that, therefore this means that. And it is always a dismal conclusion. Right? There's always something wrong with the conclusion. So we've learned to stop connecting the dots. Slow down. I'm going to have another drink of water. Oops. This isn't valuable, Crystal, is it? It's okay. So if we spend enough time in tiredness, which... What did you say to me? One of the Korean hobbies is napping. But not many Koreans have hobbies, do they? And you people go like crazy. We went to dinner last night, and a school bus went by us, and it was dark outside, and there were little kids in the school bus going someplace. My kids don't go to school at night. My 11-year-old goes to the barn to tend to the donkeys and the cows, but she doesn't go to school. And it seems like y'all are always doing something. That's why I'm thinking that this technology may create a crossover for y'all to make it easier for you to stay out in present time consciousness, because you seem to be, that would be a close, you seem to be motivated to be very busy. I went to meet with Mr. Kim yesterday, right? And you couldn't meet, right? And because? Yeah, he was busy. He said, "I'm busy." And I said, "Yeah, I know." I do a lot to keep myself from being busy, right? Because I want to enjoy this life, and when I am busy, this is busy for me. Okay, I'm being really busy right now, huh? I was going, But I do this because I love to do this. Because I found that which I love to do, and I do it. Right? This I could do day after day after day, and I will get curious with you because it's what I do. But if you spend enough time in tiredness, which is the shadow of passion, you're going to start to get angry about life. Right? And people get angry. That's the word I'm going to use, angry. I'm not going to use any other word. Angry. There's a sense of alienation and inequality when this chakra is being shadowed over. It's one of the two chakras where I see most people existing on. Okay? If you spend enough time in anger, which is the shadow of excitement, sadness will overcome you. Sadness, caring, blame, conflict. There will be conflicts in your life or seeming conflicts in your life. Right? If you can start to make distinctions in this world, you can start to move around this world. If you can move around in this world, you can start to see how to pop out into this world. Okay? Out into where the world is light and fun. That's one thing I don't... In Buddhist writing, I hear them... The Dalai Lama says we have one purpose, and that is to be happy. Right? I don't read much about fun in Buddhism. Is it okay to have fun? Okay. He's like, I don't know. Maybe it's an American thing. I mean, maybe fun... Hemingway, the author, said, when life ceases being fun, then it's time to die. Right? And Hemingway committed suicide, so I guess it ceased to be fun. I don't, But if life isn't fun for me, I don't want to live it. For my children, what I know is I can't say to my children, grow up and be happy. Okay? Daddy didn't do it, but you can do it. Right? What I have to do is that which makes me happy, which is this, right? So that my children can have a knowledge on how to grow up and be happy. Right? I have to trust myself to do that which I love to do, and I have to trust myself to love what I'm doing, which was my motivation for doing the retreat. When I do this, I go to higher states of awareness because I love to do this. But I was finding in my life I couldn't find me. I couldn't find my own happiness. So I went to the Zen retreat to see when I'm not working, can I find my own happiness? And I can. It was worth the week. Oh, in many other ways than that. What time am I speaking until? 3:10. 3:10? Okay. Okay. If you spend enough time in sadness, you will learn the fine state of angst, which is just this inner turmoil that goes on all the time. You spend enough time there, you will drop into the definitive state of melancholy. And if you spend enough time there, you will go to full-blown depression. Now the reason, if you look across that line, the lines read across this way, right? There's a word straight across. There's depression, self-importance, and then there's the word is thanatos. Are you aware of the definition of thanatos? Okay. Thanatos was coined by Freud. Thanatos is the death wish. Thanatos is when you get so depressed there's no reason to live, and it's an illusional state, but it is a national illusional state for the Koreans, from what I understand. I understand that the Koreans have just surpassed everybody else in the world for going into this illusional state of thanatos, believing in it and acting on it. Okay? It's because they believe that this state is real. My father believed that this state was real, and my father committed suicide, right? From an illusional state. I was lecturing in London. I was doing my favorite class, which is Self-Actualization, which I may do next weekend here. and a woman came and she said, I'm depressed. We talked for a while and I said, no, you're not depressed. I said, your jam is here in the heart chakra. There's some major conflict in your life. There was a medical doctor in the room and he said, you are a chiropractor. You do not have the clinical skills to make that diagnosis. I said, I know. I know. I have the practical skills to make that diagnosis. My father committed suicide. I'm fairly well versed in the depressed channel. I know it fairly intimately. I don't know it by books. I know it by feeling, observing, watching somebody you love spend time in an illusional state where you can't pull them out, or I didn't have any tools to pull them out. I said, this woman's not depressed, and she'd just been diagnosed as depressed and was taking drugs for depression. They missed the diagnosis. When I asked her what the conflict was, she was very clear. She wanted to have more babies, but she couldn't afford it. Conflict. Within about 20 minutes, she saw the resolution. She saw how to afford to have more babies. If I can get you out of your mind, if I can get you past thinking, past logical, rational thought, which is not. That's like an oxymoron. I'm not going to say that other oxymoron, am I? I'm going to be good. It's hard for me. Different from when this started. Okay, but you're aware you are different, yes? What's that? Certainly, yes. Okay, if I ask you what do you want to create out of today, what would you tell me? What do you want to create out of today? What do you want? Now watch her. Please pay attention to her. I'm going to pay much more attention to who she becomes than I am to the answer. Okay, because this is, if I can stay in this place of observation where I'm just looking and seeing, then I can stay out in present time consciousness. So when I ask the question, I watch the person as much as I listen to them. If you could create anything out of today, there's a vague resemblance here to Santa Claus, you see? I know you thought Santa Claus was taller and better looking, but today I'm Santa Claus. What do you want? You're right there. Now what do you want? This is easier than I thought. What's that? Nothing more. Okay. When was the last time you remember experiencing you? Mm-hmm. Okay, now she's rationalizing. If you watch, her vitality went down. You watch, she got, oh, listening is experiencing. So what I'm going to try and show you is how to have conversations that continually vitalize you and other people. Last week we were asked a koan, right? What do you want is a seemingly relevant koan. Who cares what you want? Watch her, she's changing. Who cares if you ever find you? Huh? Did you answer me? That's it. Yes, yes. And that's who cares what you want. Yes. And nobody else cares. So what do you really want? What's that?
You might say, oh, you're again in mental state and not.
Yes, exactly that. Your mind will talk to you. That little voice inside your head that talks to you all the time. That little voice that just said, what little voice? I don't hear a little voice. It's subtle, it's complete, and it's reptilian, and it's vicious. Right? And it will keep you from living your life. It will keep you out of present time consciousness. Okay. What? What? No, they're whispering over there, and I just want to know what they whisper. I'm so curious. Sorry. What? You're going to have to speak louder. Oh, some words you don't understand? Which word?
For example, when you ask her, like, what's the last time when you experienced you? Was he experiencing?
What she said to me was she wants to experience her. I know. Okay, now, are you more confused? Good. We're getting somewhere. Okay, you're actually progressing very, very quickly. I know she's going, we are? How are we? Confusion is a very high state. It's where life is. Life is confusing. When you get there, it gets uncomfortable. And it's like, no, I don't know if I like this. But you see her, she's like, what is he talking about? Right? Last week when we were asked a question, and we were told how to answer the question. And it was completely confusing when they told you how to do it. Trust me and look for the answer. Trust you and look for the answer. It was so confusing, I knew that we were moving in a direction that I wanted to move in. When you start to get in to where life exists, life is confusing. You said that, right? Life is confusing, right? Right, look how different he looks. I don't know if you paid attention. What's different about you right now? What do you notice that's different about you right now? You what?
I've grown quite a bit at this moment.
You've grown quite a bit?
Just I kind of differentiate between myself and like what really is reality, like the present moment. You know, like I've kind of found a way to break them apart and separate them and actually truly be here.
From this? Thank you. It's a quick audience. Oh, thank you very much. That if you can see, and I'm not saying that we're going to break completely through the illusion. We did that last week with a Zen master, and sometimes when I work, I get out to me, and I really, oddly enough, like me a lot. I do. I find myself enjoyable. If I ask you, what do you want to create out of this today? If you could create anything, what do you want? Anything's possible. Anything. Watch. Okay. Now I'm gonna break in because she's getting more curious. If you're paying attention, there's more light. There's more curiosity. We're on to something. We're having a conversation. Okay.
I was thinking when I come here, I didn't know it's like
I'm sorry. See, the lights are dimming. You see, I was thinking coming here, and this is how most people have conversations. What do you want? A house. Oh, where? Anywhere but Seoul. Oh, how big?
I want to create like more peaceful man, more passionate for stuff, and don't be tired for being.
Okay. Can you feel how different that answer is? You feel how she's talking to me now before. I was thinking on the way over here about, I don't know. So you want more passion, less tiredness. Okay. What are you passionate about? What do you love to do? I know, because where we are as a species, we're a generation that's completely removed from our generation, from my generation. My father was a professional musician. My father got to play music for a living. That's what he had to do. Every night he had to go to play music for people to dance. Right? That was his job. Right? And yet he found a way to get so deeply immersed in the shadow world, he committed suicide. Right? Because he believed in this world. Right? He loved what he did. When he played music, he didn't exist. You would watch him. He would move from song to song seamlessly. But when he lived his life, he began to live this world. Right? And it consumed him. What do you just love to do? Look at how, with the struggle. Love to do? Like what? Okay, you said, I understood swimming, but what else did you say? Sports. Okay. You know anybody that's making a living doing sports? Do you know anybody that gets paid to do sports? It's the same question. Yes. Look at this little, oh. See, I'm saying you all came here with a twofold purpose. One is to be happy. You came here to be happy. Right? I know that that's a true statement. I've experienced it all the way through my body. 3 days after my father committed suicide, I had an experience. And I knew that my father's life was perfect. Right? I knew it all the way through. When I went to my mom and I said, do you get that Dad's life was perfect? She said, you think it was perfect that Dad committed suicide? I said, no. No, no, no. Yes, yes, yes. No, no, no. Yes, yes, yes. No, no, no. I was out in that confusion land. Your life, everybody in here, your life has been perfect up until now. And there's nothing you can do to escape that unless you climb into this world. There's something that when you're doing it, you will see your own perfection. How are you different? Right now, the only moment that counts. See how the mind goes, right now?
Yeah.
Right? That little voice wants, no, 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 not now. Let's go to the past. Let's go to the future. Right now? Yeah, right now.
It actually brought me back in the past.
Yep.
Yeah, I went from like the high to the feeling.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay, when you say I went from, what did you notice? What was the difference?
Just like this feeling.
Yes.
Went from here, I went from here, which is lighter, to here, and it's all here.
Yep. You know what that means?
Energy shifting.
That, okay.
It's going through me.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
Yeah.
Okay. If you walk out of here and you're happier, okay? You walk out and there's no reason to be happier. We've just sat and talked, but you're happier. Can I take your happiness away from you?
If I allow it.
Okay, and are you telling me that if you don't allow it,
Right.
okay?
It's the whole
Look at the curious.
harm and you haven't been.
What's that?
It's the whole feel, no harm, and you haven't been.
Okay.
I don't.
But I'm going to tell you something. Even if you don't want your happiness taken away, I can take it away from you. Okay? If you know that one little tidbit in life, that somebody can take your happiness away, then all you have to do is be willing to find it again. Okay? Because people who are not happy will go out of their way to try to make you unhappy. Right? If you go to make them wrong for making you unhappy, then you're stuck in their world. If you find a way to go out and find your own happiness, then you can be happy. Right? But it's a continual process. The experience we had last week was I'm going to call it a momentary experience, although it lasted longer than that. But it allowed us an opening to see how things are. Now we can respond differently to life, yeah? What do you want? You, right there. We talked earlier.
Love myself. I want to love myself. Because
You want to...
I want to get lost of myself. I want to lose myself to find myself.
Oh, come with me. I did it last week when we were at the retreat. Mr. Kim told me about a walk, and I took the walk, and boy, did I get lost. I was lost for 5 hours in the woods of Korea. I wasn't really lost because I knew how to get back, but spend time with me. Come just with me in Seoul. We can get lost in a New York minute.
I do this very often, and I like it.
Look at the light. Look how different. Can you see how different she is? And can you see more curiosity, more brightness? This is what I pay attention to. Now we're on that transitional area to see if we can move out and get her system to default into a more efficient operating system. Okay? If I can show you how to default out here to where you trust and you experience your own happiness, you'll have an easier time to live life, a more magnificent time. Like I said, the number of times that we have been told that we cannot live our lives. You have 6 children. You cannot homeschool them. You cannot live in Switzerland. You cannot live in Texas. You cannot. We would look and say, okay, and we would continue to live our lives. When my daughter started college in Switzerland, they asked if her parents were travel agents. And she said, why? And they said, because you've lived in so many different places. And she said, no, my dad did seminars and we got to travel. We couldn't imagine leaving our children behind, so we took them with us. Did you say 310? Is that? That's what I would like to know. You have to. What do we do now? Mr. Kim, I could do this all day. Okay. Is the key points? One of the things that I see is Buddhism is a lifestyle. Right? It's my webpage. I call it Mackenzie Lifestyle because we live an elaborate lifestyle. I know it has to do with karma. I know it has to do with many things. But I've invited you here today to see if there's a way that you can use this technology to alleviate some of the suffering in your life. To have, dare I say, this is so American, more fun. Are you having more fun than when we started?
Yeah.
Good.
Sure.
It's working. You? Are you having more fun? Okay. Then it's working. Right? Okay. Okay. Yeah, good question. Good question. I'm going to have to stretch my legs out. I'm not used to this. In fact, I'm used to walking around while I do this. Okay. If you meet somebody and you can see that they're in sadness, okay, you look and they're in sadness, you know that there's a conflict in their life, right? You can be very therapeutic in your life and you can say, why are you so sad? And in a very short period of time, you too will be sad. Right? They will tell you, and you will be sad. If you look at the chart, you can look, oh, sadness. Wait a minute. Happiness. Happiness. What makes you happy? What is it that when you're doing it, you're always happy? Right? See, if you look at the chart, if you see somebody who's angry, very, very angry, right? What's exciting for you? What brings excitement into your life? right? A person who's depressed, it's hard to ask them, what blisses you out, man? They won't get it, right? But if you ask somebody, what is it that when you're doing it, you achieve higher states of awareness? And that's a valid question. Because first of all, they won't understand the question. But it may get them out of the sadness. And it may move them out of these states here. Yep. My intention with every reaction, with every interaction I have with every person, is to see if I can enhance their vitality. I have fun with everybody. Yes. Yeah, and that's it. The number of times, Chris, that I hear people that I say, what do you want? I would say that 70 to 80% of the time, with no discipline to this world, they tell me what they don't want. Oh, I don't want to live in Seoul, or I don't want to be married, or I don't want this. And it takes discipline to continually look for what you do want. To continually look out. Wait a minute. First of all, this may be, okay, let's suspend reincarnation for just a second. You have won the most significant race in this lifetime. When your mom and dad got together, if this is inappropriate, I apologize. When your mom and dad got together a few years ago, of all the billions of sperms, you won. You're number one. All the other ones died off. You are the one that made it. And if you think that that's not different, I have a twin brother. He came from a different sperm, and we live very different lives. You won. Relax. You're the winner at something. Okay? Let's go on from here. Okay. 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 We're going to reshuffle and we're going to get in a circle. Okay, we have a ceremony first. But listen, when we get into the circle, can we play a game? Can we continue to play this game? Okay, please. And okay, I'm going to set the rules up. If, when you talk, I want everybody to pay attention to see whether the vitality is getting greater or less, whether there's more curiosity or less, right? So we can continue to learn within this learning process, okay? If somebody says, what do you think about the American stance on North Korea, I'm going to stop you with that question, okay? And I'm going to ask you to ask me a question that enhances our vitality. Okay? Thank you very much, y'all. Thank you.